Hello, Hofstra fans. Welcome back to the WB Mason Coaches Report right here on GoHofstra.com with the head coach of the Hofstra baseball team. I'm PJ Potter. Thank you very much for tuning in. Coach, thanks for your time.
Thanks, PJ, for having me.
Back to CAA play this past weekend, 1-2 against Townsend, with the game being won on Sunday. Just overall thoughts on the series.
I thought, it was a bad time to play Townsend. They came off a Tuesday win, scoring 14 runs, and then on Wednesday they scored 14 runs. And, previous to that, they hadn't been, swinging the bats very well. And their pitching had been pitching pretty well. As far as on the weekend, had been throwing well. So, I gave the team some warning of that. And, they came out and swung the bats really good on Friday night and, really battled Teddy Silas. And I thought Teddy didn't have bad stuff. He had pretty good stuff. And, came out, they scored 2 right away. And, then they kept that on to Saturday. They swung the bats good, and they got a good pitching performance. I mean, their Friday night guy goes 8 innings, and that sets up a whole weekend for you where you don't have to use your relievers on the opening series. And, we just didn't play that well. And then, Saturday, I thought late we had a little, glimmer of hope. We started to play and battle last 3 innings, and we were able to carry it into Sunday and play well.
Speaking of that Saturday game, tough start from George Marrero, 10 earned runs, 7 walks, 5 hit batters. Not the prototypical Marrero we've seen all year. What went wrong this weekend?
It's tough. It's like, obviously, everybody could say, hey, George doesn't have his stuff, but, the day before, Teddy had a short outing, and George had a short outing, and it was going badly, and we knew it. But, offensively, we haven't been doing very much, 2.8 runs, and so from a coaching standpoint, you got to look at it of, hey, George just got to sit out there and wear it a little bit, and he did. And I give him credit. I thought he really struggled 1 inning, manned up, made a pitch. We couldn't make plays behind him to get him out of it, but George never complained, and I could argue his outing helped set up our win for Sunday. And so even though he had a rough outing, I thought he took it like a man. And there's days like that, and George Marrero has been really good for us a lot of the season. It just was a bad outing.
Then coming in relief in that Saturday game was Matt Weishire, a guy who hasn't pitched that much in his career at Hofstra. 3 2/3 shutout in his previous outing, 2 innings, didn't allow a run. How important is his role now coming out of the pen?
I think Matt's just sort of reinvented himself. He's in the best shape of his life. He's been always committed to the Hofstra baseball program. He's been really just a good kid his whole career, and every time he's out there and successful, nobody can be more proud of him than me. And I've seen all the hard work and the effort and the support of his teammates that he's done, and for him to go out there on Saturday and throw that well, he really picked up the bullpen, and he kept us right there. And then the last 3 innings offensively, we got going a little bit, and all of that set the tone for coming back on Sunday, and really happy for Matt.
And then speaking of that Sunday game, the 11-5 win to pick up a CAA win, tied with Townsend now in conference play at 2-4. In that game, Stephen Foster, Vito Fresia combined for 5 runs batted in. They're red hot. Just talk on their behalf on their season this year.
I thought as a team, it was just a tough win overall. You have to avoid getting sweep. You have a red hot team that's swinging the bat. Steven has been good all year long. I mean, he has been good from the opening game till today. He'll say, hey, he had a bad weekend at Charleston, so he had bad 3 games out of 30 so far. So, Steven, we can just count on him. He's been a dependable player. He's been a good player. He's been just as good as anybody else's player. Really sets the tone for us at the top of the lineup. I tried to move him to the 3-hole on Friday and Saturday, and that wasn't so much for him, it's because other guys just haven't been producing in that spot. So on Sunday, I decided to go back to Steven at the leadoff and Vito in the 3-hole, and that's what they're here to do, is to be big offensive members. And I think they've both accepted their role really well. And the last 16 games, there hasn't been a better player for Hofstra than Vito Fresia, and he's been incredible. I love his energy right now. I like his confidence. I mean, every swing he takes, we think he's about to do big things, and everything he's doing right now, he should bottle up and keep.
Now let's go back to yesterday's game against Fairfield, a 17-11 loss, high-scoring affair. The Stags came in 5 home runs yesterday, 3 of them coming from one player, Mitch Williams. Were you expecting the Stags to come in with so much power yesterday?
It's a tough call. I think if you look around the country on scores on yesterday, there was high numbers everywhere, and part of it is it's Tuesday pitching, and not to knock anybody that threw yesterday, but they have to get out on the mound and pitch, and with the weather being like it's what it's been, teams have been able to throw that mid or conference guy a couple innings and shield the other guys, but this weekend the weather was good everywhere, so Fairfield played a true weekend. We played a true weekend. Then Tuesday they threw guys that hadn't had many appearances. We threw guys that hadn't had many appearances. And the bottom line is they just got to pitch better. They got to pitch better. They're not throwing strikes enough at high volume and nibbling around the strike zone. And back to your question, like the kid has 3 home runs in a game, and I think that's something that we have to take ownership of. The guys coming into the game got to know the other opponent. They got to know who they're facing. I thought that the kid had another opportunity later in the game on a hanging breaking ball to leave the yard. And to be honest, you can't make that mistake to a hitter that we all know is hitting that well. But they're just more worried about trying to throw strikes than they are supporting. And they got to get better. You got to get experience. And the Tuesday game, which you don't ever want to see, 17-11. Winning or losing, unless we do it, they'll never experience it. So, yes, we had to bear through it. Yes, we saw some things good offensively, I thought, but, that's what you do.
Someone who's been struggling all year, David Lederman, entered the day yesterday under 200. He was put in the 2-hole yesterday. What was the reasoning behind that?
I know on Friday we're going to face Walters, the kid from Delaware. He's a left-hander. He struck out 11 in 6 or 7 innings this past weekend against Northeastern. Started to work on a lineup that I thought I was going to go with on Friday, against him. I don't want to start the game 2 lefties, big breaking ball. We're just struggling a little bit offensively, so it was to look at it. And, David at the end of the day had a 1 for 3, 2 walks, his most controlled bats, he's had in a long time. I was really, happy with the presence that got there. And, at the end of the day, he's a veteran for us. He's a kid that was second team all conference last year and 39 ribbies, and just by the law of averages and by what he is and who he is, I think he's got to get his numbers. And so I got to hold back, and I think him and Witt at some point get going really strong and really combine with a Foster Freesia mix. And Mikey's been real consistent all year, and get Teddy going, Roush going. Hardart's helped out the lineup when he's gotten in there, and so I think we're really close offensively. But now right when we're getting the offense figured out, we got to get the pitching back on track.
You just mentioned Chris Hardart. He's pretty much a career 300 hitter in his 3 years at Hofstra. Not an everyday player. Played 2 games this weekend. Just talk about Chris Hardart and his career and how much he has meant for Hofstra.
He's like, I think even from his freshman year, he was that old wily veteran. He knows the game really well. He knows the ins and outs of it. He knows the small things, and now as he's been here over 5 years, he's even that much more of a veteran and gives a really calming presence. Rooney threw really well on Sunday, and I thought, nothing against Vito, but I thought Chris had a lot to do with that. He calmed him down, and was a calming influence when it was high tense there and a little bit earlier, and he just brings that to the whole team. And anytime he gets a hit or whatever, they call it the Hardart darts. He's able to throw them out there in specific spots, and at the end of the day, they're hits. And he just figures out a way to get things done. And he's done that. I think Chris has proven people and things wrong his whole life, and continues to do that now at Hofstra. And at the end of the day, I'm the one who puts him in the lineup, so I can't have more confidence in him than what I do. And I see all the little things that he brings to the program to help us out.
He's head coach of the Hofstra baseball team, John Russo. Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this weekend in Delaware.
Thanks, PJ.